Activity 3i, the value of stories. That is in your training manual on page 71, where you have to discuss the type of stories that young children like. List the type of stories for each stage, and then also provide a reason why we should choose stories like those. So let me go through this PowerPoint and see if you can fill in your table. For babies beginning, the type of books that they like, because their eyes have not developed very well, they like books with contrast. 0 to 3 months, it can just be black and white pictures and spots and dots so that their eyes can follow that. But 3 months and older, they start seeing color. So they like bright and colorful books. Doesn't need to be real stories, but books full of pictures, because they love to listen to your voice, and then you can talk about the topics and pictures that you see in the books. They love books with sounds, books that they can touch, that they can hold, books with texture. So it's usually also books made out of material or out of plastic so that you can clean it. The moving ons, the 2 to 3-year-olds, they like simple stories or stories about animals. It has to be stories with happy endings because they still need to feel emotionally safe about the ending of the story. There should be nice, beautiful pictures, and there could be very few words because they're still building on their vocabulary. They love rhymes and repetition because then they can predict what is going to follow. Advancing further, the 4 to 5-year-olds, they love fantasy stories. They also love rhymes and repetition, and their vocabulary grows, so the stories could be a little bit longer. You can ask them open-ended questions. They will ask you open-ended questions. They love to follow, to predict what happens in the story next. So that's the reason that you could choose fantasy stories, and their imagination is already developing. Towards grade R, the stories can be a little bit longer because they can concentrate longer. It should involve real children and it can deal with real issues. The stories can now be real life stories. It can also be stories where they can predict what is going to happen next. Through the stories, you can introduce new cultures and people that are different to them, because they already start distinguishing between fantasy and reality. And when you read stories that deals with issues and emotions, they can show empathy, and they can already distinguish between different feelings. And you can read stories about people out of their immediate comfort zones because they are curious about the world around them. Books with rhymes. There are wonderful storybooks about books with rhymes. You will see that I've also put this book, See You Later, Alligator, as a book reading in one of the next videos. And here is just a recap of all of the different development groups, types of stories, and reasons why I would have chosen those.